Hey, good evening. I'm Corey Newton. I'm going to do something a little bit out of control tonight. We're talking about the Islamic State. I'm going to talk about the Islamic State. Anyway, up till now, up till today, my understanding of the Islamic State was this. It was Zarqawi's organization who basically is using the global Islamic resistance call written by al-Suri in 2005. In 2005, al-Suri wrote a 1,600-page document on how to wage open front jihad, individual terrorism jihad, and small cell terrorism operations. So these are like the master strategies of al-Qaeda. So up until today, my understanding of Islamic State was that it was Zarqawi's organization that incorporated al-Suri and is run now by Baghdadi. And I found this. This is the Islamic State, ISIS's founding document that was released last year in the summertime. The Promise of Allah. And I'm sure everybody else has been reading this, and I wish you guys weren't holding out on me. But this document is out of control. This document is exactly why you have tens of thousands of people going to Syria and Iraq to join the Islamic State, and exactly why the Islamic State is expanding. Now, I do not buy into this document at all, but I think it's very important for us that if we're going to have a discussion on using military force to destroy the Islamic State, we need to know what it is. Now, I don't think the people in the media and the people on both sides of the political spectrum have done a good job of telling us. So why don't we just let them tell us who they are and what they're about? And after reading this, I'm going to provide a link here. You can print it out, staple it together, and read it yourself. And you'll be able to understand why a Muslim with no purpose in their life, after hearing this, suddenly has a significant purpose in their life, is going to pack up everything they have and they're going to go to Syria to wage a jihad. This document is out of control. Why haven't we heard about it? How come Brian Williams was too busy telling stories that weren't true instead of reading this? So I'm going to read the first line of it, and I'm going to jump 5 pages deep, and I'm going to try to burn through it as much as I can. So this is the promise of Allah. Praise be to Allah, the mighty and strong, and may peace and blessings be upon the one sent with the sword as a mercy to all creation. Now we're getting 5 pages deep. And this is that. So rush, O Muslims, and gather around your caliphate, so that you may return as you once were for ages, kings of the earth and knights of war. Come, so that you may be honored and esteemed, living as masters with dignity. Know that we fight over a religion that Allah promised to support. We fight for an ummah. Ummah is a nation. We will fight for an ummah to which Allah has given honor, esteem, and leadership, promising it with empowerment and strength on the earth. Come, O Muslims, to your honor, to your victory. By Allah, if you disbelieve in democracy, secularism, nationalism, as well as all the other garbage and ideas from the West, and rush to your religion and creed, then by Allah, you will own the earth, and the East and the West will submit to you. This is the creed. This is the promise of Allah to you. This is the promise of Allah to you. So do not weaken and do not grieve, and you will be superior if you are believers. This is the promise of Allah to you. If Allah should aid you, no one can overcome you. This is the promise of Allah to you. So do not weaken and call for peace while you are superior, and Allah is with you, and will never deprive you of the reward of your deeds. This is a promise of Allah to you. Allah has promised those who have believed among you and done righteous deeds that He will surely grant them succession to authority upon the earth, just as He granted it to those before Him. And He will surely establish for them therein their religion, which is He preferred for them. So come to the promise of your Lord. Indeed, Allah does not fail in His promise. And a message to all the platoons and groups on the face of the earth, consisting of mujahideen and people working to support the religion of Allah and raising the Islamic banners. A message to the heads and leaders of these groups we say, fear Allah with regards to yourself. Fear Allah with regards to your jihad. Fear Allah with regards to your ummah. O you who have believed, fear Allah, as He should be feared, and do not die except as Muslims, and hold firmly to the rope of Allah, all together and do not become divided. We, by Allah, do not find any legal excuse for you justifying your holding back from supporting this state. Take a stance on account of which Allah the Exalted will be pleased with you. The veil has been lifted and the truth has become clear. Indeed, it is the state. It is a state for the Muslims, the oppressed of them, the orphans, the widows, and the impoverished. If you support it, then you do so for your own good. Indeed, it is the state. Indeed, it is the caliphate. It is time for you to end this abhorrent partisanship, dispersion, and division. For this condition is not from the religion of Allah at all. And if you forsake the state or wage war against it, you will not harm it. You will only harm yourselves. It is the state for the Muslims. Sufficient for you should be with al-Bukhari, may Allah have mercy upon him, reported from Muawiyah, may Allah be pleased with him. He said that he heard Allah's messenger, peace be upon him, say, "This is a matter for Quraysh. No one opposes them regarding it except that Allah throws him down on his face as long as they establish the religion. As for you, O soldiers of the platoons and organizations, know that after this consolidation and the establishment of the caliphate, the legality of your groups and organizations has become invalid." Now he's talking about everybody else besides the caliphate. "It is not permissible for a single person of you who believes in Allah to sleep without having loyalty to the caliphate. If your leaders whisper to you claiming it is not a caliphate, then remember how long they whispered to you claiming that it was not a state, but rather a fictional cardboard entity, until its certain news reached you. It is a state. Its news will continue to reach you, showing it that it is a caliphate even after time. And know that nothing has delayed victory and delays it now more than these organizations, because they are the cause of division and disagreement that ruin strength. Division is not from Islam at all. Indeed, those who have divided their religion and become sects, you are not associated with them in anything. Their affair is only left to Allah. Then He will inform them about what they used to do." Alright, we're really rocking here. We'll get into a little bit more. We'll skip over that. The first excuse is the same matter they have accused it with before, that it is a state of Kawajiri, and the other accusations whose falseness has become apparent in the cities that are ruled by the state. Second, your leaders will assure you both in themselves, saying, "This is just a gust of wind which will be extinguished, or a temporary whirlwind that will not last, and that all nations of the disbelievers won't allow it to remain, and they will gather against it so that it disappears quickly and soon. Those of its soldiers who will survive will end up in mountaintops, caverns, deserts, and clandestine prisons. Thereafter, we will have returned to the jihad of the elite. We cannot handle jihad of the elite far away from hotels, conferences, office lights, and cameras. We want to lead the ummah in the jihad of the ummah. So let those leaders be ruined, and let that ummah that they want to unite be ruined. An ummah of secularists, Democrats, and nationalists. An ummah of a sect that excludes deeds from faith. The Muslim Brotherhood, a sect influenced by claiming to be Salafi. Satan promises them and arouses them in desire, but Satan does not promise them except delusion. The state will remain by Allah's permission. Ask the parties in Iraq and their leaders, how much did they reassure themselves by claiming that the state would vanish? They were greater than your parties in power and greater in accumulation of wealth. Have they not traveled the earth and observed how was the end of those before them? They were greater than them in power. As for you, O soldiers of the Islamic State, then congratulations to you. Congratulations on this clear victory. Congratulations on this great triumph. Today the infidels are infuriated in such a manner after which there will be no similar infuriation. Many of them almost die from anger and sorrow. Today the believers rejoice with victory from Allah, feeling great happiness. Today the hypocrites are degraded. Today the Shia, the Awakening Council, and the apostates are humiliated. Today the Tawagit in the east and west are frightened. Today the nations of the disbelievers in the west are terrified. Today the flags of Satan and his party have fallen. Today the flag of Tawhid, monotheism, rises with its people. Today the Muslims are honored. Today the Muslims are honored. Now the caliphate has returned, humbling the necks of the enemy.
Now the caliphate has returned in spite of its opponents. Now the caliphate has returned. We ask Allah the Exalted to make it be upon the methodology of the prophethood. Now hope is being actualized. Now the dream has become a reality. Congratulations to you. You spoke and were truthful. You promised and kept your word. O soldiers of the Islamic State, it is from the great blessings of Allah upon you that He allowed you to reach this day and witness this victory, which He did not arrive except by the grace of Allah the Exalted, and then by the blood and the corpses of thousands of your brothers who preceded you from the best of mankind. We consider them such, and Allah is their judge. We do not presume to know better than Him. They are those who carried this banner and sacrificed everything. They offered everything generously, even their souls, to pass on this great banner to you. Indeed, they did so. May Allah have mercy upon them and reward them with every good on behalf of Islam. So protect this great trust. Raise this banner with strength. Water it with your blood. Raise it upon your corpses. Die under it until you pass it on, if Allah wills, to Jesus, the Son of Mary, peace be upon Him. O soldiers of the Islamic State, Allah Exalted ordered us with jihad and promised us with victory, but He did not make us responsible for victory. Indeed, Allah the Exalted bless you today with this victory. Thus He announced the caliphate in compliance with the order of Allah the Exalted. We announced it because by Allah's grace we have its essentials. By Allah's permission we are capable of establishing the caliphate. So we carry out the order of Allah the Exalted, and we are justified. If Allah wills, and we do not care thereafter what happens, even if we only remain for 1 day or 1 hour, and to Allah belongs the matters before and after. If Allah the Exalted causes the caliphate to remain and gain strength, then such is by His grace and bounty alone, for victory is only from Him. And if it vanishes and weakens, then we know that such is from ourselves and because of our deeds. We will defend it if Allah wills, as long as it exists and as long as one of us remains, and if it vanishes, we will bring it back, if Allah wills, upon the methodology of prophethood. Whoever has the loftiest height and his own ambition, then everything else he faces will be beloved. O soldiers of the Islamic State, you will be facing fierce battles that cause the children's hair to become gray. You will be facing tribulations and hardships of many different colors. You will be facing tests and quakes. No one will survive them except he whom Allah grants mercy. No one will be firm during these tribulations except one whom Allah keeps firm. The worst of these tribulations is that the worldly life. So be wary of competing over it. Be wary. Remember the greatest responsibility that is now on your backs. You are now the defenders of the land of Islam and its guards. You will not be able to preserve the trust and defend this land except by fearing Allah secretly and publicly, then by sacrificing, being patient, and offering blood. I am amazed by those who possess the stature of men and the sharpness of arrows, yet their command is not made nor executed. I am amazed by those who find the path to lofty heights, yet do not traverse the path, running it down until no mound's left. And I do not have found fault in people like that of those who are capable of completing their effort, but instead abort it. Alright, we're going to skip ahead. I mean, this stuff just keeps going and going out of control, but they finish it up pretty intense. And if they tell you, we do not accept your authority, then say to them, we had the ability to establish a caliphate by the grace of Allah, so it became an obligation for us to do so. Therefore we hasten in adherence to the command of Allah the Exalted. And say to them, we spilled rivers of our blood to the water, the seeds of the caliphate, laid its foundation with our skulls, and built its tower over our corpses. We were patient for years in the face of being killed in prison, having our bones broken and our limbs severed. We drank all sorts of bitterness, dreaming of this day. Would it delay it for even a moment after having reached it? And we say to them, we took it forcibly at the point of the blade. We brought it back, conquered and compelled. We established it in defiance of many, and the people's necks were violently struck, with bombings, explosions, and destruction, and soldiers that do not see hardship as being difficult, and lions that are thirsty in battle, having greedily drunk the blood of the disbelievers. Our caliphate has indeed returned with certainty, and likewise our state becoming a firm structure, and the breasts of the believers have been healed, while the hearts of the disbelievers have been filled with terror. In conclusion, we congratulate the Muslims on the advent of the blessed month of Ramadan. We ask Allah the Exalted to make it a month of victory, honor, consolidation for the Muslims, and make its days and nights a curse for the Rafida, the Sawat, and the murdered den. And then Allah is predominant over his affair, but most of the people do not know. These guys are not going to be defeated in any sort of limited objective strikes. These guys need to be annihilated.